Wine Concierge Club.
Fam, happy Monday. I can't believe it's Monday and it's July. Wow. I hope you all had a great Independence Day weekend and able to spend time with friends and family. And I know we haven't gone live in a while, so I am excited when we do go live to start with Ms. Kyle Burke from Kyle Burke Chardonnay. Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm already sipping.
Be- exactly. And that's what we should be doing.
Hmm.
And I'm assuming that you're sipping your Chardonnay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, Kyle, before we get into it, please tell everybody who you are and about the Chardonnay that you're sipping.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Kyle Burke, and I am a woman who started out as an artist and became a teacher, and then evolved into a wine drinker, and eventually now a winemaker. So it's been a process over, from alpha to present. We're looking at about 20 plus years, about 24 years. Um, I live here with my family. My husband and I, we have two adult children, but we're empty nesters. So yeah, I've been an educator. I've been an artist all my life. I've been drawing and since I was a young girl, and then an adult, I started taking it a little bit more seriously, and really just kind of exploring different mediums and trying to figure out what worked best. And we moved to Baltimore County in Randallstown, Maryland. That's where we live. I started teaching 23 years ago, 24 actually. 24 years ago, no, 23. We moved here in '01. Yeah, 23 years ago. So the teaching started then. I started as an elementary school teacher and worked my way into middle school, and now I'm a high school teacher. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, I've been in the high school setting for over 10 years, and this probably will be where I, lay my retirement as a teacher, as an educator. That's still my heart. So
Are you teaching art?
actually, I'm teaching what we call foundations of technology, but when I was growing up, we called it industrial arts.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and even before that, you probably would just call it wood shop. But now in today's technology, we've infused software, we've infused different aspects of current technology into the production. We look at the historical production of just technology overall through manufacturing, through automotive industries, through the transportation as a whole. We did a whole thing with airplane design. And we
Mhm.
basically take these concepts in the classroom and turn them into wooden models. So we,
Oh,
yeah, we're in the shop. The students, I teach 9 through 12, so they have different wooden projects that they make throughout the year, and it's all incorporated together. From concept drawings,
mhm.
conceptual drawings, to 3D models, and to a physical model.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty interesting. That that is great that it's still those skills that are being taught because so much has been the focus is on, you know, technology, going to college, what have you, and those skills that are super important and engage your whole brain are sometimes like to the wayside because those aren't the sexier ones. Those aren't the
Hmm.
things that you test for, right? That's
Right.
not what you get funding for.
Right. Well, the good thing about this is You are like you said, you're taking the rudimentary elements of build and design, and with my art background, I'm able to really incorporate a lot of creative, approaches to it. But I actually, when I was younger, I wanted to be an architect, and I just kind of veered off in my own world. But I get to kind of play around and really kind of help
Mm-hmm.
students like who kind of want to go in that direction and may not know that they're actually doing it with
Right.
technical drawings, and actually help them like look at this is a possibility and you really need to consider it. And it's something that they enjoy. They come to my class thinking, "Oh, I'm scared. I don't want to touch the bandsaw. I don't want to play with the scroll song." We're not playing.
Yeah.
We're going to learn. We're going to take our safety test and we're going to do it together. And we're going to have fun, which they do ultimately. So I enjoy that part. So
That's that is wonderful. I read that you were kind of a self-taught artist,
hmm
that when you were younger, you just were doodling and people would ask you to draw pictures, and
hmm
that's how your art curiosity grew.
it did. I remember distinctly in fifth grade, my classmates paying me money to draw a face with a smiley face with braces on it because I drew it on my notebook and they wanted the same thing. And I don't know why. I was like, okay, if you give me a nickel, I'll do it. So, um, the entrepreneurship was there already. I didn't even realize it. But yeah, I used to play around and I didn't realize until I was in middle school that there's possibly something there when my teacher actually hung my stuff up in the hallway and I looked at everybody else's and I was like, okay, I didn't realize, you just kind of like look at stuff, but you don't really see it until you look at it with a different perspective. So I did take art in high school, but I actually didn't do it in college because I come from old school parents, and my dad was like, "You need to get a good job that's going to get you in the
Yes.
government where you'll have a pension and you'll be set." And actually, he didn't really put me into teaching. Actually, he's a teacher and my mom, but teaching was that side that just kind of came when we had young kids, and it was like, okay, my schedule works, this works, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's interesting too, because looking back, and just hearing part of your story, you had all of the makings a winemaker and didn't realize it. Like, you had the art part, you had the science technical part that pulls winemaking together, and it's 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 not a coincidence, I think, that brought you here. It was just all of these little pieces of the puzzle coming together.
hmm you're absolutely right. When I thought about it, I really hadn't put it together. Like you said, I just knew the things I enjoy doing. I love drawing, I love painting. I used to, obviously drink wine, and then
Mhm.
starting a sip and paint was the next step where I would have, classes and kind of lead people through wine tastings because I drank so much. And then finally, right around the beginning of COVID, my husband was like, um, Barry, but my husband basically said to me, "You need to look at something where you can actually produce wine, make wine,
Mhm.
and hopefully have somebody else pay for it because we're, that's a whole endeavor. But there's a way to do it where you wouldn't have to come out
Right.
full
Right.
completely out of your own pocket." So there is a very very small part, but it actually came true. It came true.
So were you, when he said this, were you doing like the at-home batches, or This was
Hmm.
the pre at home batch when he
Free.
said that. It was a
It
pre.
was free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I so as a teacher, I'm always like curious about learning a process.
Uh-huh.
Um, so when he said that, everything just kind of like sparked inside of me, and I was like, oh wow, he might be onto something right here. But I always like to look at the practicality of the actual process itself and how that looks in a small setting.
Uh-huh.
So I just basically looked up how to make wine and realized it's basically juice, pressed juice that is introduced to yeast and it
Mm-hmm.
ferments and you turn it into alcohol, and that whole process. So we designated a small budget for experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get batches from local pressed juice from local wineries, and
Okay.
I would come home and there'd be, I had it shipped to my house, and all the equipment was right there, and we have a very small cellar downstairs. So I started going downstairs and experimenting right there, and just kind of playing around and seeing how what it took and how it would taste, and getting over the fear of that that
Uh-huh.
unknown, and just learning a new palette of what fermented juice tastes like and what it tastes like to learn how to blend and learn how to make adjustments. That whole process became like at least a year long, just kind of playing around with different things, and then finally having the confidence to share it with people and see what they thought. Because I could sit here and sip and sip, and
Right.
and some batches were good, and some were like, no, get rid of it. You can't, no, you can't do that. But it was fun. It is fun.
Mm-hmm.
It is fun. So that became the experimentation lab downstairs, and
Get out
um,
of here. And
yeah,
did you have anybody else working with you, or was it just you?
just me, and
Uh-huh.
just kind of like playing. He's my taster. He has a very keen sense of smell and taste. So he would be my lab rat, um, and yes, he would tell me right on point. Go with this. Don't do that. And I trusted it, and we continued, and then I started looking at, okay, all right. So now I know that process. Let's try to figure out the professional business side, and
Okay.
began researching opportunities that could help, bring it all together. So that's when I started my quest with finding out about the McBride sisters and learning
Mm-hmm.
about people in the business who were already doing it and doing it very well. Learning about the pioneers of winemaking, of our community, of a community as a whole, and
Mm-hmm.
just learning, how they got their start and what that looked like, and just really doing a lot of research. So it just kept going and evolving from one step to the other. And that's when I got the scholarship from what is it? The Women of Vine and Spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm saying it correctly, Spirits and Vine. But they were,
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they were partnering with She Can with the McBride sisters. And basically, that was the professional development part that I started. And then I got linked in with the Roots Fund in the midst of COVID. And I think everybody at that time was kind of, trying to figure out,
Yeah.
our own passion and business, and, you know, grow a hustle. That's it.
Exactly. Well, I think I mean, again, there's no coincidence that, the Roots Fund started during COVID, and it was very much needed because how they took off was explosive.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just there to answer the call and fill a void that didn't exist at the time.
Right.
It didn't exist on that scale. So let me take
No.
it back. There were other organizations
That we're doing,
but
yeah.
it just right, and it was the right people at the right time who had the ear of others who could make decisions. So then your involvement with the Roots Fund, what happened there? Because this
So,
is like, if you're listening, don't go to the bathroom now because you want to hear this part.
so that's when things really took off a lot faster than I understood what would happen. And
Mm-hmm.
that came back to my own, my own personal spiritual faith. With be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for, because if you're really truly rooted in your truth, it will come.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It will come. So they basically knew what I was doing and wanted to kind of help me. And I had no idea that this was going to be, another step to this. So I found out that they had a partnership with Naked Wines .com, which is globally DTC, direct to consumer shipping. And basically, they had a scholarship that they wanted to support their first person in the BIPOC community to learn how to grow grapes from the vine to the bottle to distribution nationally, and basically help them through that process and take them and help them learn and go throughout step by step by step and actually become completely immersed. So you're really doing an apprenticeship. So there were a few of us who were already kind of doing that, like I was. And then, it came out where I became the first vintner of that emerging program they selected. And I was completely grounded in not understanding the magnitude of what was about to happen, because I went from making 5 and 10 gallon batches in my downstairs to flying across the United States for the first time back and forth between here and Napa and Sonoma, making procuring 44 tons of grapes, which turned into 34,000 gallons of Chardonnay. And doing that during the 2021 vintage, and then 2022, doing the same thing in a smaller batch, but basically it's still commercial bulk. So basically, I flew across the country I'd say about 5 or 6 times the year of 2020 into 21, and out there with my mentors. They gave me mentorship. I had 3 mentors. uh, I basically was out there picking, walking blocks, doing grape samples, uh, tasting juice, in the winery, working the entire time, working with what I was wanting to produce. So it wasn't me just going out and saying what you can do. You can go to a custom crush and, you can say, this is what I want. And I give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
You want it, however, which way works for you, works for you. Um, this was very, very hands on and very physically, mentally, emotionally, everything taxing, but it was worth it. It was worth all of it. It I think I got sick a couple of times, and, but this is what I wanted. This is what I asked for. This is what Spirit gave me, and I designed the label, of course. We worked with their designer, but it was what I wanted. We picked the bottles, we picked the corks, we picked the cap, um, and we came out with these two. We took 44 tons of grapes and actually just split them down to half and did 2 styles initially of Chardonnay. We had the tank ferment, which actually has more of that Puy Fusé style. We did do 40% new oak, and I believe no, not new, not for this. For this one we did. This one we did about 4 months resting on neutral, just to kind of give it a
Okay.
little hint, just a tiny
Mm-hmm.
hint after the tank ferment, because I wanted to have it more of that French pure Chardonnay style. This was
Mm-hmm.
this was my tribute to California. So I did this 40% new oak, the remaining used or neutral, but we did French, American, Hungarian oak, secondary mallow, all the way in the barrel. So
Okay.
this one has more of the buttery California styles. This is probably more of the all year round. This is more of
Mm-hmm.
that lean, like, I call it
Right.
my summer chard, and this is that all year. But if you love Chardonnay, there's so many different styles. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I chose Chardonnay, because I love it and I love to create different profiles, and I wanted to be like a Chardonnay expert, learning and understanding what that grape could do. So that's why I stuck with Chardonnay. For me, I have a hard time like going all over. I have to kind of stick with one thing and kind of really learn that, and then go from there. Now this is the 22. It hasn't been released yet.
Ooh,
So yeah,
ooh.
I just got it last week. So I just got it and I love it. I took the two styles like I did in 21 and I
Mm-hmm.
blended it. So
Okay.
it's a beautiful blend. It's a beautiful blend. So this is the 2022 Kyle Burke. Um, I'll be pouring all three of these this weekend coming up. I don't think they've announced it yet because I haven't said anything about it. But um,
Well, look, I love exclusives, so you can announce it here.
okay, I will be at the Wine and Culture Festival this Friday and Saturday. So if you're in the area and you got a ticket, great. If you haven't, I think they still have them, but I'm definitely going to be pouring all three. Now, this is actually sold out. This is done. So I only have a few bottles of this left. So I will be pouring it though. Um,
When you pour it, can they buy it or do they have to go online and purchase it?
they have to go through nakedwines.com.
Okay.
They do have to go through their direct site, but I will be pouring um, and doing art and pours. So
Oh,
you will be
really?
able to purchase art and get a complimentary pour if that is your thing, because I still am an artist at heart. So I've got to have my art there.
I understand. I
Yeah.
definitely understand.
hmm
Well, it sounds like you had a lot of autonomy. What is that?
Um, I know what you're
It,
talking about.
independence and
hmm
yes, in the wine making process. Like you had guardrails, but you really could decide what you wanted to do and
Yeah, so with Naked, the beautiful thing about Naked Wines is they're like a custom crush venture capitalist in wineries. So they look at winemakers that are already kind of doing really well across the globe
Mhm.
because they sell out of the UK and they sell out of Australia and here. But they look at different wines like Carmen Stevens. She's also one of our winemakers out of South Africa.
Mhm.
So they basically say we understand this is a huge expense to take and we're going to take a risk and help you with that and pay for it, and you can make your wine the way you want. You have to source the grapes, find out, you have to actually get the grapes, not pay for them, but you have to actually find them and they'll bring them to a winery that's close, but that's close to one of their wineries. But basically, they fund winemakers' dreams. So their club, they're called Angels. So the Angels
Mhm.
actually are the people with their membership. They pay for people like myself to make wine. I pay for me going back and forth, my travel expenses and what have you, but they make dreams come true if you really want to make wine and they like your story and they want to bring you in, they'll do it. So that I was really, really fortunate to be on the receiving end of this. And we're, you know, about to do 2022 soon to be released. So yeah.
That is awesome. If those who are watching now, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat for Kyle so she can respond to those. But that's exciting. So is there a time period where they say, okay, we'll do this for 5 years, or do you just continue to build upon that relationship with them?
So that was a very good question. That was my thing too, because I believe in longevity. I didn't want it
Mm-hmm.
to be a one and done story. So basically, if your wine is rated by their wine members at least like 80 in the 80s or higher, they'll continue to work with you. So my white label just sold out, and we were in like 92 percentile, I believe, and the black labels at the high 80s with their wine club members, because they're trying to make wine pretty straightforward and not
Right.
complicated.
Mm-hmm.
For their wine club members, that I come on and they'll post on my page and tell me very honestly if they love it or if they don't, and I respond to all of it. And I
Mm-hmm.
let them know thank you for trying, and try to try to
Okay.
just try, so anyway, there's a very intimate relationship between me and the naked uh, angels who support my endeavor. And so yeah, as far as I know, I'm
Well,
still
I
good.
saw it. I went on, um, and your the reviews are very complimentary, and I have tried the wine and I really like it. And I was trying to figure out like how could I sway her from, but no, I wouldn't leave either. Um, uh, no, the reviews are really complimentary, and people should definitely go to Naked Wines and have the wines. And there's often times in this industry where people buy black to support black,
Yeah.
um, but may not necessarily like what's in the bottle, right? But
Hmm.
want to be supportive, which I appreciate and I completely understand. But I really think with your wines that people will really enjoy those wines, and because they're so well made, and I'm just so happy for you that you had this opportunity and you continue to thrive, and that your talent was recognized immediately. And then there's the bonus that we're supporting a black winemaker. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think that is super awesome.
Thank you. I really I I look at my wine community. Of course, my community, my people, and
Mhm.
I'm grateful, and I have gratitude for my black community, my brown community, my communities that love excellent wine, and my global community. Anybody outside of those that just love wine. That was my prayer, and that was my wish and hope, that I wouldn't put anything out there that I wouldn't love. After
Mhm.
drinking wine so many years, the difference
Yeah,
between
yeah.
levels of excellence. And as a teacher, as an artist, as a person, I always strive for excellence. That can't be,
Mhm.
and even when you don't fall, when people put, their own opinion and may fall short, it's okay. It's okay, because it helps me to learn. It helps me to figure out what I need to do to build and to grow. I enjoy like taking criticism as far as learning how to do it better. You know,
Mhm.
because I think we're all in this business of life,
Right,
to
right.
grow, to learn and grow. So I'm thankful for the overwhelming positive support. However, I mean, I have total strangers sending me the most beautiful messages, and sometimes it's weird because I might be somewhere and someone will say, "Do you make wine?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm at Home Depot or, and just kind of like roughing it out, like, mm-hmm.
Who's asking?
Right. And it turns into this thing. So, but, you know, I'm just a student and a teacher at the same time. So I love it. As long, look, anybody can do what they love to do, and you don't have to pay a lot of money for it, or you can make a lot of money for it. You're in the right path. So,
Yeah, I think that's a winning combination.
hmm
So I know you said you wanted to become an expert with handling Chardonnay, managing, making the best Chardonnay. Do you think that you'll go to another varietal?
well, for me, the next logical progression would be sparkling, only because
Mhm.
the use of the Chardonnay grape. So I would
Right.
love to go. That would be my next progression, like to take this and turn it into a sparkling wine. Um, that would be the next thing I would do, because I already kind of know how the grape is grown, but I'd like to see it under different circumstances. Um, creating something that would be very celebratory and festive. This is too, but I love a wonderful sparkling champagne,
Mhm.
Cremant, anything that just has that, prosecco. I love bubbles, so that would be the next thing I would do before it. Red wines I love. Don't get me wrong. I love
Mhm.
the red wines.
Oh, me too. Me
Yeah,
too. Uh-huh.
the process is a little bit more entailed. It's a
Mhm.
lot. It's a lot more entailed. But hopefully down the road, I'm open. You know, so I want to do what makes sense to me and makes sense to our budget, and take it step by step. I just take it day by day. So that's it, vintage by vintage. You know.
That is oh, I know you said that, but do you think there's a possibility when you retire and now that the kids are older that you would move out to California and do this full time?
That's what I'm trying to get certain people to possibly consider. So we'll see. I have family out there. I have family in California, in Washington State. So there's places.
It does, I always tell people when they say, oh, because they romanticize wine or what have you, and they're like, oh, we're gonna do this when I retire. And I'm like, please don't. You don't know. I mean, but this is the natural progression for you. This
Hmm.
completely makes sense.
It does. And I do come from a family that they are not shy to farming and to being outdoors and growing. So
Mm-hmm.
my dad's dad, people of color, we come from
Right,
agriculture. So,
right.
and industry, manufacturing. Um, we do what we got to do. So it's in our DNA.
Exactly.
Can't help it.
And I think I'm glad you said that because people often forget wine is a form of agriculture. I
It
mean,
is. Mm-hmm.
that's where it starts
Mm-hmm.
in the vineyard. So that completely makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Um, when I first started walking out in those blocks, I was like, oh my God. I had one of those moments where, you take these things for granted, Um, and you just see the beauty of the bottle and the taste and the glass and, all of that. But it really is earth, hand, plant, water, sun,
Mm-hmm.
soil, animals, snakes,
Yeah.
tarantulas, all these bug bites, back aches, lower back, sweat, sunburn, headache, water.
Yes.
You're like, that is the nitty gritty. And
See,
what's that?
I said, don't make it sound so sexy.
I know, right? So that's the thing. Like, you have to appreciate people who do this for a living. They are
Yes.
some of the hardest working people. I don't care if you're making wine or if you're, producing and pulling tomatoes, farmers, agriculture, people that work in the whole production of a food
Mm-hmm.
product or a beverage product. People who are
Mm-hmm.
driving the trucks, delivering, making sure that everything gets to where it's supposed to be on time. People bottling, it's hard work.
It is. It is physically hard. Yeah, it
Hmm.
is.
It
It
really is.
is. It definitely is. Well, I only have a couple more questions for
Okay.
you. And those, again, who are watching, if you have questions, please put them in the chat, and I am happy to share those with Kyle. So let me ask you a question. If you weren't drinking your wine, what wine would you drink?
Okay. That's a very good. Okay, so I have a bottle over there, Iguagal. I love. Um, that's waiting for me. Um, I love Dow. Like, I
Ooh,
love
yes.
I
Uh-huh.
love pasta robles. I love Argentinian. Oh my gosh, I love uh, Carmeneres. That
Yes.
deep,
Mm-hmm.
rich earthiness. And then I can go to a beautiful Beaujolais with just that lightness that you could just, a
Yes.
beautiful summer
Mm-hmm.
red that would just float through. You know, um, I kind of just go with, I will taste whatever that kind of pulls me in, and I always go to the expert of the store, because they're the ones tasting it first
Right, right.
and kind of give me a profile if I haven't tasted it, and if I have, I'm getting a bottle of that, and I'm grabbing something I haven't tasted before. So I'm completely all over the spectrum. Shiraz,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all over the place. Lately, I've been, I had a bad problem with acid reflux, so I had to really kind of cut back on
On the
some real
reds.
high
Mm-hmm.
acidity. So I don't not love them, but Pinot Grigios, my body won't accept it the way
Right.
it do.
Mm-hmm.
But a Sancerre, I can do something like that. Um, just something that's kind of light and easy
Yeah.
for me right now. But yeah, I can always still do a good shard. Like, I'll do my lighter French style shards, and then in the winter
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing those big buttery, like, to go with my dinners, and just feeling good, just feeling good. So,
That's good.
hmm.
Okay. And so my last question is, the Olympics is going to be at the end of this month.
Hmm.
What is your favorite sport to watch during the Olympics?
Track.
If you watch the Olympics,
Hmm.
track.
Track and field. I ran track for 2 years in high school, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do it athletically. I did it to socialize.
You were worse. You were worse.
I jogged. I was like, hey. My coach was always like, what are you doing? You're not even trying to improve your personal best. But I'm
Oh,
having fun.
that is hilarious. That is
Hmm.
hilarious. Oh my goodness. Um, I can't wait to see. I love track and field, but breakdancing
Mm.
is a sport this year in Olympics.
Oh, I gotta see that.
I was like, I have to see that. Like, how do you qualify for that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It is a sport. I think
I
it's one
had
of
no
too
idea.
many. Yeah, I'm like, this is kind of a overreach, but we're going to see how it happens. So
Okay, yeah.
yes, yes.
I also
Well,
like swimming. I love to
yeah.
see swim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had our kids growing up as swimmers, so we were always the swimmer parents at different swim meets. So that's always a fun thing.
That is my younger brother was a swimmer before you saw black people in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
And so he always stood out at the meets,
Mm-hmm.
and and he could never understand why, like, how he would always get disqualified. And so one day my dad took him in the observation because he did winter as well as summer and long course, what have you. And he was like, see, you see how everybody can see down in the pool and you the only one in the pool. That's how. And so I think it really helped improve not only his
Mm-hmm.
focus on his technique because he realized that he stood out so much
Right.
then. Mhm.
And we were those parents too, where we didn't want our kids not to be able to know how to swim.
Right.
Anything ever happened, I grew up not knowing how to swim until right before high school, and then college. I took swimming as a class. I was really pretty good at it, and then we decided no, we need to make sure they know how to swim. So they
Yeah.
participated in the local Y, but they loved
Mhm.
it. They loved it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It is a little taxing though.
It is.
It
My
is a
daughter
little
was like,
taxing.
"No, my hair." I'm like, "All right, all right."
Well, that's the truth be told, that's
Mm-hmm.
why we learned how to swim because my mother wanted to make sure, and I didn't want to do swim because the the
Yeah,
hair. Yeah,
yeah.
the hair. But, technology has advanced so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So much, yeah. Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you for spending this time, and please tell everyone how they can find you.
Okay, first of all, thank you. And I really enjoyed this afternoon, evening. This was a perfect Monday to kind of like wind down and just hit the week. So I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Not
So
a problem.
yes. So if you're interested, you can always go to I have two handles: Kyle Burke Chardonnay on Instagram, and my artist handle is Yoshi's YOSHISART, Yoshi's Art at
Spell that one more time. I'm putting it in the chat. So it's
okay,
Y.
YOSHISART, and that's my other Instagram. But
Okay.
and you can always go to Naked Wines USA, or it's Naked Wine. Just go to nakedwines.com. It'll direct you to the United States site, and just type in winemaker Kyle Burke, and it'll take you directly to where my wine is. So yeah, but
Well, mhm.
if you're gonna be at the Wine and Culture Fest, I will be there. I'm
So
looking for.
make sure you look for her.
Yep.
And the Wine and Culture Fest is in Maryland at National Harbor. So if you
Yeah.
know where MGM is or the Gaylord,
Hmm.
uh, they will be there, and you can always. I think they still have tickets available.
I
You
think
can
so.
definitely come out and have an opportunity to taste different wines all over the United States and
Yeah.
the world. They're going to have several events, and I think they also will have some seminars too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
they will have seminars.
This will be my
So
first one, so I'm excited.
you will have a good time. Will be had by all. Will be had by all. Well, thank you, fam, and I appreciate you guys joining and listening. And if there's someone that you would like us to chat with, remember our goal is to deepen and broaden the exposure of minority winemakers. And so they have an opportunity to come to your living room and you get to experience their wine. So have a great day, and we'll chat with you later. Take care.
Cheers.